when there's no value that's been established, no trust that's been established, and you get commodified.
Hey, it's Brad here. It's 2026 and you're still using a tape measure and grid paper to do your drawings. That's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, iGuide. With the iGuide Planix R1 camera and laser system, you can capture an entire home in about 45 minutes. All of your measurements, photos, and a detailed floor plan all at once. No hand sketches, no guessing, no more. Was that wall 10 foot or was it 9 foot? Or, oh man, I forgot to measure the window offset. You just hit start and walk away. That's it. You're starting the job with accurate as-builts. And you can export straight to DXF, DWG, or RVT files so you and your team can get to work immediately. Miss something? Well, you don't have to worry about that because it's all right there in virtual land waiting for you. This is how you avoid costly mistakes. This is how you reduce change orders. And this is how you run a tighter operation. And more importantly, it's how you protect your margins. If you're serious about operating like a pro in 2026, it's time to upgrade. Go to hammerandgrind.com/iGuide. That's IGUIDE to order your iGuide Planix R1 camera today and start running your jobs the right way. Hey, welcome back to the show. I have another very special guest with me today, Rick Storlie with Builder Lead Converter. Rick, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Brad. Appreciate it. Nice to be on with you again and see you again.
Yeah, we met at the Job Tread Connect recently. I think we met at the bar, which is kind of an unusual place, but...
Yeah, we met at the bar and we were talking about Jesus at the bar. So,
Right.
And if you want to talk about Jesus today, man, that's my favorite topic ever. So I'm down with whatever.
Yeah, I think we both shared kind of some stories. The guy sitting next to us is probably like wondering, what in the heck?
we gave him the gospel, but I don't know if it took or not. So we'll just have to pray the Holy Spirit gets out to him.
There you go. Well, welcome to the show, Rick. Just give us a little bit of a background, who you are and what it is that you do.
Yeah, my name is Rick Storlie. Our company is Builder Lead Converter, and we attract, capture, and convert high-quality leads for our builder partners so they can pick and choose their clients and jobs. My background, Brad, goes back to the 80s. I started as a job site laborer and, worked on framing crews and did siding, and then... after college, I got into sales and sort of gravitated back to new homes. My father had he had a partner where they were developing some land together. That my father was a real estate broker and his partner was a home builder. So they had these lots they were developing, and twice a year they would build a model home. We had a pretty large parade of homes in our local market, and my father's real estate team would staff the model home. And so as I was in college, he needed some help. And I think I was a senior in college. This is back in the early 90s. So it's like forever ago. And so I reached out to him and I said, sure, yeah, I'll help you out. And so I'm in there and I'm green. I know nothing. I mean, I'm a framer, right? I mean, I remember I was wearing a suit and, doing my, put on my Sunday best. And, I'm just this snot-nosed kid who knows nothing about anything. And I started just like getting all this contact information. So I remember going back to school, I reached out to my dad. I said, okay, Dad, I had notes on everybody. And I said, this guy's got land. This guy wants to start building, such and such a time. This guy's interested in this. And I gave him all the notes. And I talked to him like maybe a month later. And I'm like, how did it go? Did you sell any of these people? What happened? And he's like, oh, nothing really came of anything. I'm like, what? These were like legitimate leads, and I had all this stuff. And so when I graduated, I said, hey, if I am willing to work a model home, week in and week out, would you, and your partner build something and not sell it? Because they tried to sell the model right away after the event. So would you try to sell it? And he's like, yeah, well, we'd do that. And so that's really, I had my C training, I call it, Brad. It was like, see your model home, see your keys. When am I going to see some contracts? And so I would then just slung mud on the wall and just sort of learned by sort of trial and error. Finally got some training later on, but I worked my way up to be a field manager, and I started overseeing other locations, and then worked my way into becoming a sales manager, sales and marketing manager, and then got into be a GM for a custom builder. And then I started, back in 2005, I started doing fractional management for builders all across, the country. So I was working for design build remodelers and custom builders, and then '08 the market crashes. So a lot of guys really, that was actually helped me get sort of my company going because they couldn't afford to have an in-house person. And so I was managing from afar. And then in 2010, I picked up a software partner where we were developing and creating a CRM for our builders that I was managing and doing sales training at the same time. And they were using that software. And then in 2020, new software came out, High Level. Some of you may have heard of it. It was called. And I said, hey, this has everything we want. My partner was 75 years old. We weren't going to use his platform anymore. And I said, hey, Rune Hogson from Norway was his name. And I said, Rune, I said, why don't you go retire? And so he did, and I built my team up from there. So since 2020, we've really focused on client acquisition. I don't do sales training or coaching anymore. I've hung that hat up and just focus on client acquisition. And what we do again is the attract, capture, convert. We built sort of a perfect sales assistant for our builders, and so our baton handoff, if you will, is when the appointment is booked and you as the builder has the phone call. And then we have, the CRM set up for them where they can manage that relationship. And then there's an integration with JobTread, and we've done some software development with some other tools as well. It's a full cradle to grave client acquisition system, sort of built on, what I learned back from the early 90s forward, working those model homes. The focus again is on the conversion aspect, not the lead generation aspect.
Gotcha. Okay. Awesome. So you work primarily with home builders then?
No, we do. Actually, it's probably 50-50 home builders and remodelers. And a lot of our clients do both, especially since, design build there's not a whole lot different except for a lot feasibility, when you're building a home versus remodeling. A lot of them will do higher end projects. Most of our clients try not to do a whole lot under 100. We have some that are averaging $1 million for a remodeling project, and we'll get into custom builders, that are in the 5 million plus, 6 million plus area. So very, very high end sort of luxury design build stuff.
Okay. All right. I got you. Well, let's talk a little bit about the difference between lead generation versus client acquisition.
It's interesting because every builder goes through this. It's like this evolution, and you start your company. A lot of guys come out of the trades like me, but there's others that start as real estate agents. They're flipping houses, especially for remodelers. But they get to a point where they build their business, and it's more or less all referral. And it's their friends, family, and then it's their sphere of influence, and then maybe they're getting some business referrals, and they get to the point where maybe they're done $1 million, maybe $2 million. And then they think, this referrals, it's great because they're very, very high converting leads, but you can't really scale the business on referrals only. So the question always comes up like, okay, well, I need to market. Well, I should run Facebook ads. and it's like, yeah, you could do that. You can run ads on Facebook and you can get a whole lot of leads, but they're all garbage. And I talk to a lot of builders, Brad, and what they say to me is like, where do I start? Where do I start? And so it's one of the issues that we try to tackle is like, say, don't look at it as lead generation. Don't look at it as marketing. Don't look at it as sales, but look at it as client acquisition. And instead of focusing on generating a lead, focus on converting a lead to a highly profitable client that you enjoy working with. And as a type of project that you're good at and you're making money at. And it's in a location that you don't have to drive 4 hours, to get to. And you have less windshield time. And so once we sort of lay that out for our builders, the light bulb comes on. So like, oh yeah, that's true. Okay, so where do I start? Well, so we just developed this 3-phase approach where you do some foundational things. We call that our build phase. And again, I go back to my roots as a framer. When we got to a job site, the first thing we do is we're inventorying lumber. We're checking for, is the foundation square? Are our walls level? Do we have high spots? That sort of thing. Because if you have to make adjustments there, make sure you have a solid foundation before you build the home on top of it. And if the foundation's screwed, it's going to show up in your framing. And then also the trim carpenters are yelling at you, because the doors are closing, and it's like, it just cascades from there. So we built this system to sort of take this builder where you go from a period of going from I'm just built this business on referrals, or I've tried marketing, I've tried lead generation, I've crashed and burned. I just heard from another builder recently too. He said, "Hey, I'm spending $3,500 a month and I'm trying to do high end projects, 300,000 plus, and I'm realizing that's not the right approach." I'm like, "Yeah, that's not the right approach. You need to do this as where you crawl, then you walk, and then you run. So you don't jump from building your business on referral only to where the point where you're running, high-end Google pay-per-click videos or ads, that sort of thing. It's like you work your way up to it. And in some cases, Brad, you don't ever have to do that. There's much better ways to attract high quality opportunities in the local market besides meta ads or pay-per-click on Google. So that's what we do, is we build that infrastructure where we build the foundation, and then we start attracting opportunities. Then we focus on growth. And so the systems we put in place can take that guy that's going from 1 to 2 million. They want to do 5 million. They want to do 10 million plus. They can do that. And there's lots of cool bells and whistles that go with it too.
Okay, so what are some of the ways that you attract clients? I mean, because there's lots of different ways, but like, what are some that you focus on the most?
So one thing I figured out when I was selling is I was able to be a fly on the wall. So we were in a market where we had the largest parade of homes in the country. At one point, there was like 1,300 homes twice per year, where we had consumers, like dozens, if not hundreds a day, coming through our model home. So the problem I had was, how do I slow these people down? How do I differentiate myself? Like, how do I get their contact information, let alone book an appointment? Because it's like crowd control. And so I would watch people as they behave, as they came into the model home. And I realized a couple of things. It's like, okay, we build model homes not just to, in that day and age before the internet, was not just to get people in front of you, which we needed to do, but it was also what we did is we created an emotional environment. So the homes weren't just empty. We spent thousands of dollars staging them and doing extra, putting furniture in place. And so what we were trying to do is we're trying to depict a hope for lifestyle. So you very quickly realize is that when people come into that model home, they weren't looking at my builder at the time. They could care less about the builder. They had envisioned this hope for a lifestyle. And so they start by trying to understand, what's this lifestyle I'm after? What does it look like? So it's they can't visualize it, right? That's design. Okay, so we start there. Then once they see something they like, the next question is, well, how much, Brad? What does this cost? What's your price per square foot, right? And so we've all had those questions, and that's because when they look at us, when there's no value that's been established, no trust that's been established yet, we get commodified. So if they're going to walk through 10 parade homes a day, which oftentimes they would, the one differentiator was price. Oh, I like this, I like this, I like this. Okay, well, what's your price? The lowest price wins, the 3-bid aspect, if you will. But one of the things I learned from that is that if you can be the local source of information, they'll come back to you. And if they look at you as the local expert, you will develop the same trust and value that referral lead did, that you built your business up to that first $1 or $2 million. Those referral leads, they convert so well because trust is already established, because you did a great job for their friend or coworker or neighbor, and they conveyed that trust over to that lead. And so when they're talking to you, they don't come in and say, "Hey, Brad, what's your price per square foot for this?" They come in and they say, "Hey, you did a job for so-and-so. He said you were awesome to work with. We're thinking about doing this. Can you help us?" Right? And so it's the same logical conclusion you want to get to with this lead that comes in through organic search on a website, or a zero search summary from an AI search, or from your Google business profile. It's the same process of developing that value and trust that is just natural with that referral lead. And so what happens is I learned this by sitting in front of hundreds of new home and remodeling buyers, is that they go from, well, how much project for how little money? That's their main question when they start with. So I want the most for the least. That's human nature. And then they shift to, what's the next step? Because once they trust you and they see the value of what you bring, then they're looking at you as an advisor and a guide. What's the next step? And once they say that, you've got them. Now they're going to follow you. So they start by looking for information first, if you're the local source of information. Then they try to identify, okay, are you an expert? Because if you are the perceived expert in your local market, they want to hear from the expert, and you just provide information to start with. And then once they are ready to take that next step, they value you, they trust you because you've given them everything first. And then they're willing to sit down and listen to you and follow your process, which ultimately tells them what they're going to get and how much it's going to cost.
I got you. Yeah. So being the expert, building the authority, educating your clients. And what is your go-to way for doing that? Is it blogs? Is it social media posts? All of the above? Like, how do you go about establishing yourself?
Yeah, the go-to way is wherever the client wants to learn from me. So if that's SMS, if some people maybe want to jump on a call right away, maybe it's following me via email for years. Maybe it's following me on social media, or my Google business profile, or press releases. I mean, everybody's different. When you're walking a tightrope when you do this, because you have to produce content in different formats that is going to be that the Google wants. Okay, or what ChatGPT wants. Okay, but at the same time, you also have to produce content that is relevant to the user, the lead. So you're walking that tightrope. So yeah, it's blog posts and it's having your website with the right content on it. But then you have to build the website the right way so it's high performance. Because AI search, you could have the greatest website in the world, the greatest information, but if it's a poor performing website, AI searchers, they're gonna pull up the resource. Let's put it this way: AI is going to come in and they're going to scrape your website based on what performs the best. So if it takes them half a second to load the information and scrape it and provide the answer versus 2 seconds, they're going to go to the half a second website, even if it's not the best answer for what they're looking for. So the performance is huge. So yeah, so now I'm building, all this information, and then I've got to get my socials up to speed. But even your Google business profile or your free house account, I mean, that's like super foundational stuff, and it's free, and you can deliver a lot of opportunities. So you're pretty much doing everything. But here's what I can tell you: next to referral leads, your highest converting lead sources are going to be organic search or AI search, okay, whatever you want to call it, generative search. It's going to be direct website visitors, which means somebody that's aware of you and they're typing in your URL and they're coming to your website direct. That's the next step. Then it's going to be social media, and there's very little traffic that comes from social media to your website. It's usually the other way around. They go from your website to your socials and they just want to follow you. And then it's going to come out of your database to long-term nurturing. Business-to-business referrals is really good. The lowest converting type of source is paid. It's paid ads or it's paid social. It's the lowest converting, and yet you're going to spend the most on that. So we usually end there if we need to. We don't start there. We do everything else first, and then we just measure everything we're doing. But the organic people, people that find you through organic search, and we put, lead magnets on your website. You probably heard that term, but that's just an offer. Those offers, those organic search, what they will opt into in order to start that relationship, that's what gives you the data to really nail it on paid. Because paid is all about really just fine tuning your audience and your offer and having a high click-through rate, low cost per lead. And then once you get that lead, you got to do it's a mountain climb to get that lead to go from cold all the way to warming them up, seeing the value, trusting you, and getting them in front of you.
That makes sense. Do you think the paid ads success also depends on like what you're doing? I mean, like most people aren't going to go to a paid ad if they want to build $1 million home, right? But if they need a plumber to fix something, they're likely to go to a paid ad. So I mean, I think it depends on what you're doing, like in terms of the type of work.
Local service ads are a great example. Okay, if you're a plumber and somebody needs to have their water heater replaced, or they've got some sort of an issue and they need to get fixed right away, local service ads are great. If you're trying to sell $300,000 design build projects, local service ads are a complete waste of money. So yeah, you're exactly right. Know your audience, make sure you understand your product. It's all about sales cycle, and it's a need versus a want, right? Okay, if my water heater goes out, it's a big need, right? I'm going to take cold showers until I get it fixed. But obviously a want is, hey, I'm going to do this addition. I'm going to build this $5 million custom home. And it's a very, very long sales cycle. So yeah, understanding who your buyer is and what they're after is where you want to make sure you're putting that information out there to really take advantage of whatever that source might be.
So you use high level with your clients to track the sales funnel and all that, the automations and all that. Do you know roughly, like with your hiring clients, like what's the typical sales cycle, like from first contact to making the sale? Like what is that period usually?
Yeah, everybody is different. I would say, okay, so what we know is that for every 100 opportunities that visits a website that are engaged, that means they're on your site for at least 30 seconds, and their IP address is like, say, from the US. Okay, so take all the bot activity, all the spammers out of there, and also somebody that's legitimately looking for a builder. Typically, you see somewhere between 3 to 8 leads captured for every 100 opportunities. It's seasonal. Right now is a good time to capture leads. A lot of people are looking because it's, we're getting into that spring market. It's going to be a lot different, looking in December or November even. It's going to be lower. So from that 3, so let's say for every 10 leads you capture, we see about 3 will book a call within 2 weeks. 7 don't. Okay. And now, again, for those 7 that don't, now what I have to do is I have to focus on, all right, how do I stay top of mind with them? Because we've seen it before, Brad, where like just recently, one of my clients, they sold a $2 million custom home. That lead was in their database for 5 years. So 5 years, we had to religiously stay top of mind with them. We had to stay relevant. And there's a way to do that by nurturing that relationship. And when they were ready to call a builder, we got the call. Okay. Most builders, if they get a new lead, they might call them, maybe they text them, maybe they email them once. And if that lead doesn't respond, on to the next one. So the higher end projects you do, the more important that long-term nurturing, value building, as well as re-engagement. We call it quarterly re-engagement, which would be doing events and database reactivations. The more important that is. So yeah, you can see that's an extreme example of 5 years. But what we normally see is that if they haven't booked an appointment in the first 2 weeks to have that first phone call on there, you're probably looking at, you're not going to realistically hear from that lead for maybe 6 months. And during that time, you may never get an opportunity. You just have to continue to work and try to give them a legitimate reason, a compelling reason. I would say you want to give them a compelling reason to want to talk. And that's just an old sales strategy. Control leads from information, right? You give them just enough to keep them interested, but not too much so they don't need to talk to you. And so that's what we try to do, is just continue to educate them, show them the way, but then always give them a compelling reason to want to take the next step, which is to book that call and, go through that qualification. So the builder can say, yep, great, let's go, or no, you're not the right fit, next.
This is an important topic, because and it doesn't matter if you're a builder or an electrician or whatever, everybody in the trades, and probably for that matter, all small businesses, but everyone wants the lead when they come in, when the lead comes in, to be like, hey, Rick, I want to hire you, and I have an unlimited checkbook, and I'm just going to give you complete control of everything. Just please come and save me, right? Like, yeah, that's what everybody wants. Right. But that's like less than 3% of the leads that come in even remotely fit close to that. So this whole nurturing is where most of the leads will come from.
Right.
Whether it's 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years, like you have to have some kind of follow-up process in place. Otherwise, you're going to lose that. So a lot of times I talk to contractors like, oh, I need more leads. It's like, you don't need more leads. You actually have plenty of leads. You're just not following up with any of them that you've talked to.
It's a really good point. It's all about the conversion. So if we look at it from the lead standpoint, vast majority of leads on your website are not ready to talk. And if you look at what do most builders have on their website? Well, if you want to build a home or remodel your home, here's a phone number or here's a form. Call it the 2 F's, right? I got a form and a phone. Well, the vast majority of leads don't want to talk. So what they do is they come and go. So go back to my model home experience. If I didn't give leads a reason, like most leads didn't want to talk to me. Oh, you're a salesperson, right? Get away, right? You ask them, oh, you think about building a home? Oh, we're just looking. And so I used to play games with people that we only built homes. We didn't do remodeling at the time. And so people would walk in. I'd say, oh, hey, my name's Rick. Are you getting remodeling ideas? And they'd say, oh, no, we want to build a home. So you got to use reverse psychology, because otherwise they have a script too, just like you have a script. Yeah. So you have to, again, give them a reason to want to stop. So what I did is I figured out, hey, if I put a lot book, I would take them to get plats of all the different projects around me where we could get access to that land. And then we had floor plans, and I put a plan book out, and I would just leave those out in the kitchen. And I would wait for somebody to start looking.
Hey, just a quick time out from the show. If you're a frustrated contractor who's dealing with low profit margins, stuck working on the tools every day, or doing free estimates for people who are never going to hire you in the first place, I invite you to my private contractor community, the Profit Club, where contractors just like you are adding 2 to 3 times more profit each year without producing any more jobs, and finally getting completely off the tools to never do another free estimate again. So if you're ready to increase your profits, stop doing free estimates, and get off the tools, then all you have to do is click the link in the show notes to learn more about the Profit Club and see how it can easily 2 to 3 times the cash in your pocket, give you a proven sales process that will convert more jobs with ease and get you off the tools once and for all. And the best part is you can do all of this without having to produce more jobs than you currently are. Click the link to learn more. Now let's get back to the show.
Okay, so think about your website. If you don't have the right content on your website, they look around, they go like, oh, okay, nothing's here, and they leave. And so, and the most frustrating thing, Brad, is when we'd be sitting in that model home and it's dead and there's nobody there, and a car would drive up and slow down and stop and kind of look. And then they would drive off. You're kind of like, what? Well, why? What was it? Why didn't they come in? What was there? So look at your website. That's the same thing that's happening every minute of every day. People are coming through, they're looking around, and if they don't see what they like, they're leaving. So the most important thing we have to do is we have to not lose the opportunity. So that's why we look at as a website for home builder, remodeler, whatever it is that most of those websites are builder centric. The website's all about me, how great I am. Look at my awards. Look how long I've been in business. It's not lead centric. So we used to call in the model home in the parade days, we would go out and look at our competition, during that time too. And we'd walk into a model home, and every now and then we walk through one, and it was so overbuilt and so ostentatious. You could tell the builder built a home that only he could fall in love with. And we'd chuckle, we'd walk out, we would say, well, we know who's going to buy that home. It's the builder. He won't be able to sell it in 6 months. He'll be moving in. And so that's what you see a lot of builders' websites too, is that they're built for the builder's ego. And I just had this conversation the other day with a guy in California, and he goes, Rick, so what you're telling me is that I just gotta let you put the content on the website and not get my ego out of the way. I said, that's exactly what we're saying, is that it doesn't matter what I think or what you think, Brad. It's what does the lead think? What does the lead want? And we know that. We have all that data, because that's the beautiful thing about doing things online, is that you can track everything. So we have all that data. So we have a very specific format and very specific information we make sure every one of our partners has on their website, because the most important thing is to not be eliminated. If I can not be eliminated, I can create, if I can't get them the first time around, that opt-in, is that we find that about 20 to 25% of the website traffic is a be-back traffic, which means they've been there before. So they'll come back. So that's what we used to call it in the model home days. Someone would come through on Friday and they say, oh, I'll be back. And then sure enough, Sunday they'd come back. He'd be like, yeah, all right, I got a live one. And so your website's like that too, is about, again, 20 to 25%. It depends on how much you're advertising, how much you're doing for GEO, that sort of thing. But it's a pretty good number. And so when you give that lead a reason to come back. The reason they come back is because you have information that they want, and they saw it there and they remembered you. And so now they're coming back to it. And then you give them another offer. Hey, how about I send you this? Whether it's a white paper or enhanced design library or a design idea book or pricing. We have a pricing tool that we built that allows the lead to create a scope of work, and then they can get an instant price, or they can request a meeting, with the builder, where they can pick the date and time, the scope of work's created, the builder will give them a budget over the phone. So you can't run from it. Every lead wants to know how much it's going to cost. And I know builders hate to give pricing up front, but you have to give them some sort of a budget range.
Yeah, but Rick, I have to look at the plans first. I have to go out and look at the house first. Right. I can't give you a price without doing that first.
Exactly.
You never heard that before, have you?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, yes, every builder can say it's, $250 to $500 a foot. Okay, you can tell that to the lead. They just want to get some sort of parameters. Am I in the ballpark. And that's the reason most people, will leave a builder's website, is because they look around and they're going to think one or two things. Okay, you're too expensive, Brad. You're above my budget because all of the homes, all the photos you're showing on here are way high end, and I can't afford that. Next. Or it's the opposite. They have a budget up here, and what they see on your website is stuff from 3, 4, 5 years ago, and it's out of date, out of style. You as a builder maybe even don't even build that type of stuff anymore, but you just haven't updated your website. It's like, it's your virtual showroom, man. I mean, that is the most important thing that you're putting out there. That is who you are each and every day. And if that, all that lead's looking for is a reason not to, talk to you, because they're going to look at 30 different builders' websites. They might only talk to 1, 2, or 3. So don't give them a reason, right? So just give them everything that they want as much as you can up front. Give them a reason to start a relationship, and then treat them like they're the most important people in the world by nurturing that relationship, establishing trust and value so that they want to talk to you, because you are the local builder of choice, right? And the perception is you got it going on. Whether you do or not, it's all about perception. I just got to create the perception that I am the best choice for them to get them on the phone. That's all I got to do.
Yeah, you were talking earlier about the website and people going to it. It's like, and this ties in with, I talk all the time about, somewhat niching down. The guys are like, one call does it all. If you go to their website, there's nothing like specific about any of the things that they do. So if I'm looking for maybe a kitchen remodel and I go to their website of the one call does it all guy, and he's got a picture in, power washing a sidewalk and putting a new roof on. And if I have to go search just to see if you offer kitchen remodels, you've already lost me. I'm like, I'm out, right? A lot of times, a lot of people use landing pages for stuff that are very specific. That's a strategy. But I'm assuming you're a fan of like software like Hotjar. Do you use that or any kind of website tracking software?
Yeah, well, we use Microsoft Clarity, which is probably very similar. It heat maps people.
Yeah, heat maps.
Yep. So, that's just the thing, is look at behavior. But I used to have I still have a saying. It's like, general contractors generally attract people interested in the lowest price. If you are a generalist and not a specialist, you're just going to attract everything. So you're exactly right. If I want my bathroom remodeled and I see that you also stain decks, am I really going to look at you and say, are you the best choice for me? Or am I going to, or did you just give me a reason to eliminate you? So absolutely, you need to niche down. But I guess, Brad, the bigger question is, why do builders feel like they need to be everything to everybody? And I think the answer to that is like, well, I don't want to put myself in a box. I want to cast a wide net because I don't have enough opportunities. I don't have enough leads. And so I'm not going to turn down that, $5,000 job because I got a hole in my schedule. And I need to fill it. And that's really what it comes down to, is that you have to make the determination of what are you going to be known for? And then what are you really good at? And most importantly, what do you make good money at? Because you can enjoy doing something, but if you're not making money at it, why? Unless you like to practice. I think most builders are for profit last time I checked. And so, yeah, you need to figure that out. Now, there are some times, I get it. You're in a rural market and you've got to do lots of different things and wear lots of different hats. I get it. Yeah. But, if most of you are probably in markets where you've got at least 250,000 people to draw upon plus, and you can niche down. And there's different ways to segment your services that you offer, but you got to be presented as a specialist, because nobody wants to work with a generalist, and you just attract the wrong type of leads. And it gives the right type of leads, and this is important, it gives the right type of leads the ammunition to eliminate you. And that's what you don't want to do. And that's the biggest crime out there, is that you might be the best builder for that particular lead, but because of your perception of what you do, and most importantly, like what you don't do, they're going to eliminate you, and you never even get a chance to talk to them. And then they go to one of your competitors who is crap, but he just does a better job marketing and creates that perception that, hey, he's the go-to guy. And you're, walking around going like, we are so much better than that guy. People hate him. They say, look at his reviews, but for whatever reason, he's getting the business.
Yeah, and I've said it before, like, a tradesman, contractor, whatever, that's average, at best at what they do, but really good at marketing will beat out the best, craftsman who does poor marketing. Like it, and we see it. I mean, there's a guy in my town that would do bathroom remodels, and he did really good marketing. And he would post, on Facebook groups or whatever, and it's like, hey, get your bathroom, done in a week for only $6,000 or, whatever it is. It's a nice looking picture of a bathroom and a shower and tile. But if you just zoom in a little bit, you can see the grout lines on the tile. And like, it doesn't even look like quality work, but it's a nice, bright, shiny picture. And people that, obviously they're looking for the best price. But from a marketing perspective, he's winning. Like, he's getting the attention of what he's, of the marketplace.
Yeah. Know your buyer, right? You have to know your buyer inside out, and you have to create the perception that you're the best one to solve their problem. What's their problem? They have a hope for lifestyle, and they're looking for somebody to provide that, and they don't know who to go to it. So they're going to look around, and when they see someone that's like, hey, I think you can deliver my bathroom in a week, and it seems too good to be true, but I'm going to jump in anyway. They might be regretting the decision, and probably a lot of those clients are regretting the decision they went with them. But still, you might do the best bathroom job in the world. But again, if you don't come off as the best solution, in other words, the best advisor to solve their lifestyle issue, which is, we don't have enough bathrooms in our house, or my bathroom, it leaks and it's pasted together with spit and bubble gum, and I just need to get it done quickly, and I want it to look nice, and I want it to perform. It's like, if you don't come off as that guy, you're not going to get the business. And we just got back from the International Builders Show, where I did a panel discussion there with 3 of our clients. And one of the things we talked about is that we're in the business of building, and not focusing on the craft of building. Most of you, if you have been in business for 5 years, which a lot of our clients have, and you've built up a $1 to $2 million in annual revenue, and you're making decent money, you're profitable, you understand the craft of building, but you don't understand the business of building. And in order to get that company up to 5 million or 10 million or even 3 million, you really have to understand the business of it, and how that works operationally, as well as how to acquire those clients that are going to get you there.
I have this conversation a lot, and the ego, you talked earlier about all the accolades and stuff on their website. I say quit we-weing all over your website, like we and we are the best, I'm the best, and make it more customer focused. But I like when you said something that made me think, if we quit saying, I'm the best, or not, well, now my mind just completely went blank. That's not even what I was going to say. It's basically, if you make it from we do quality work, or I think we do quality work, to I want you to think that we do quality work, or that experience, not even quality work, but I think I'm the best, but I want you to think I'm the best. And that's 2 different mindsets, 2 different approaches to how you run, do your marketing and put yourself out there.
Yeah, we call it confidence builders. So when they're on your website, you're going to put strategically placed confidence builders. So that's going to be, your Google Business Profile reviews. It's going to be, if you've won awards, that's fine. They're not front and center, but especially if you're a remodeler, people do go to your About Us page. They want to know the people that potentially they're inviting into their home. Remember, that's their most sacred space. So if you're a remodeler, your About Us page is the most important page on your website. Again, because they have to relate to you from a human standpoint. If they can't, they're not going to go in there. And Brad, I can't tell you how many times I look at remodelers' websites when they reach out to me. I go to the About Us page, and there's no photos on there even of the owner. And it looks like it was written like it's a templated website, and nobody even changed the verbiage on there. It's completely generic. Boy, if you want to turn off people in a hurry, it's like, don't make your company human. They've got to connect with you first. So they start with information, but once they get the information they're looking for, especially from a local resource, now they're going to start saying, okay, who are you? And the question they're asking yourself is, should I start a relationship? And that could be it could be a live chat on the website. It could be a phone call, maybe. It could be downloading one of your guides or your lead magnets, or using the scoping tool to price things out. But you just want to start that relationship. And again, how do you do that? You have to give first. You don't ask for anything in return. I'm going to give you this information. I want you to get good information to make a well-informed choice. I used to use that as a sales guy. I said, Brad, my job is to give you good information so you can make a well-informed choice. So in other words, if you're going to choose a builder to do this project, I want to make sure you have all the information you need so that when that project is done, whether you choose me or somebody else, you're happy, the punch list is complete, the warranty is in place, and you're living that lifestyle that you've been dreaming about. If they look at you and say, you're the best advisor I've come across, why would I not start this relationship with you? And then it's your deal to lose, is really what it comes down to. And that's why if you're in design build, if you're getting a design deposit, you have a 90 to probably 99% conversion rate, is because the dating is done during design, and that's where a relationship and trust is formed. And it's just a natural progression to go into construction. They're going to hire you because they trust you and they see the value.
Yeah, there's a continuation here too. Because I mean, if you can have a great website, you could pay a lot of money to have a great website and have a great brand. But if you're like on the back end of that, you don't have a good sales process. You don't really have a good production process. You're not customer focused. Like that can fall flat on its face, right? So you definitely need the front end marketing, brand image side of it. But then you guys, couple that with a good, strong sales process in the back end of that. There's so much value that you can produce just in those two things that you can close people before you even go to their house. I mean, in their mind, they're being closed, right? They've already decided, oh, I like this guy. I like this builder. I mean, unless he shows up and he looks like a creep or something, we're probably going to go with him. Like you can develop it to that point, like you said, the 90, 95%, and then seal the deal with your design consultations or, upfront charging for the estimates or whatever it is. It's a 1-2 combination. Like, you can't have really one without the other. But if you have a really, really strong marketing program, the sales becomes way easier. I mean, Absolutely. Way easier.
Because the heavy lifting is done before you ever talk to them.
Yeah.
And I would say this, I'm a marketing guy, I'm a sales guy, although I have run a company as a general manager, a custom home builder. I would say this is that before you ever launch into any sort of a marketing campaign or lead generation campaign, is that you have got to have your operations figured out. And what I mean by that is that if you're going to quadruple or triple the amount of opportunities you have coming in, you better make sure that you are making money. Because otherwise, whatever precious cash flow you have laying around or you're going to put into this endeavor, that's gone, right? If you don't do it right, it's gone. And all that you've done is you have compounded your issues, because the issues were there at surface level, or maybe they're even deeper. Maybe they're below the surface because you're only doing 1 to 1.5 a year. Well, now all of a sudden you did 3 and you just figured out you made less money doing 3 than you did at 1.5, and you've just lost money. So you just compounded your issues. So, and this is something as a coach, I know you get into a lot of this. It's like, well, okay, what comes first, right? Is it marketing or is it operations? Operations always comes first. Always, always, always comes first. Get your operations down, get your systems down, get your SOPs in place, get your workflow in place, get all those things right. Make sure you are making the kind of money that you deserve to make. Once you've done that, then go into the client acquisition, then reinvest in the company. Because now you've got a good process that can work. And hopefully the idea is that without you, because as every builder should try to get out of the day today as much as they can as they build this company. If you ultimately your end goal is to sell the business, which a lot of builders is, it's like it has to be able to operate without you, and that's going to come down to your systems and your SOPs.
And just to be clear about the operations, and I know where you're coming from. You're not saying like you need to go out and hire a bunch of employees in order to prepare for the surge. You're saying from a systematic standpoint, you need to have your operations in order. You can always scale with your, by hiring people or subs or whatever. But you're talking about more operational systems wise. You need to have that in place. Because I always say you can't scale complexity, right? Like to your point, 1 million, 1.5, you could run it out of your head. I mean, you could run that business out of your head. You get the 2-3 million, and now the wheels fall off because you have no systems. It's just, you're just chasing fires all day long, and you feel like you never even catch up.
Well, it seems to me one of the first hires that a lot of builders make is a project manager. Is that what you see too? It's usually like, hey, I want to get myself out of the field and I need to get a guy that can handle jobs.
It depends, because a lot of guys will hire a helper first.
Yeah, sure. That would make sense. Sure. You're going to try to eliminate some of those things.
But if you're a true GC, if you're going to be a GC and go the sub route, then yeah, your first hire would more than likely be a project manager. Although I would argue an office person or admin person would probably be the smart hire first.
And that's an easy one because you can do that with the VA in a lot of cases, and you're just offloading, stuff that administrative things that you don't have time for. That's a pretty easy one. But I'm going to say the first main hire or big hire is typically a project manager, because you as a builder realizing I cannot work on my business when I'm knee deep in it, especially on a job site. It's just you're too inefficient with your time. You're wearing too many hats, and you realize that the highest and best use of my time is not necessarily a job site. It's going to be in the office and working on systems. So if we work it backwards from there, it's like, okay, I'm going to hire a project manager. Well, should I do it without a job description? Should I do it without having a set process of how I'm going to bring this job from pre-construction to completion? So if I'm going to replace myself as a project manager, I better have my system down so that when I bring that person in, I'm not going to throw them to the wolves. Well, you figure it out, right? I hired you. You're the project manager. It's like, no, you need.
That's why I hired you.
Yeah, that's why I hired you, right? You need to dictate it. So I see the same thing, on our end. I see the builder saying, well, Brad, I want to hire a sales guy. I'm like, okay. Is your sales process documented? Yeah. Do you have conversion metrics figured out? Do you know what this person should be doing, how they should be doing it, and what numbers they should be hitting? Well, no, I don't. It's like, you're not ready to hire a salesperson. You need to figure that out first. And builders, even though some builders are part of the sales prevention team, most builders are much, much better at selling their stuff because they have the passion, they have the industry knowledge. And let's face it, everybody wants to talk to the builder, right? It's like they don't want to talk to the sales guy. They want to talk to the builder. So if you're doing design build, you're never going to get completely out of sales. Even if you have someone that does the upfront, you're still going to come in at some point and do the pre-construction work with designing and estimating. So with that said, you have to have all of that mapped out. Your office administrator, you mentioned, Brad, that person could take lead calls. You can train that person very quickly to qualify those calls, to ask the right questions, to book appointments for you. Absolutely, you can do that. But you can't just say, well, yeah, if a lead calls Brad, just go ahead and talk to him and, let me know if they want to meet. What do I ask? So again, you got to have a script, you got to have a process, you got to have a system, and that's where it comes another thing too, a cardinal sin that a lot of builders make is they don't have a system for taking that lead from capture to contact where they're actually on the phone with them. So conversion, the first conversion you're going to do is actually take that opportunity and get them on the phone and have that call. So to do that, it's all about automation, follow-up, being quick to it. Most builders they maybe do an auto emailer, like if somebody fills out a form on their website, but there's nothing, otherwise it goes back to the builder. And let's just say you're busy. Maybe it's Friday at 6 and you get a lead. And then you got a production meeting Monday morning and, you're got to, do things. The next thing you know, it's Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon, you're getting back to that lead. Well, guess what? They contacted 3 of your competitors in the meantime, and they've already had 2 conversations with you. And then now they just ghost you. It's like, why didn't they call me back? They called me on Friday. Well, it's because they didn't think they were important because you didn't follow up with them. So you have to treat them like they're the most important people in the world. And oftentimes getting that deal comes down to you're just the first one to get with them. And they say, oh, wow, well, I think you can solve the problem. I don't need to talk to these other guys, because they don't want to talk to 3 or 4 builders. They just want to get somebody they trust, they see that knows what they want, that can produce it, and let's go. Let's rock and roll. We're ready to move.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. I mean, you got to have that. You got to have the presence. You got to be an educator. You got to, speed the lead. You got to follow up quickly. All those things I agree with. And we're getting a little towards the end here on time, Rick, and I don't want to leave out the opportunity. Tell the clients, or not clients, tell the listeners where they can find out more information about you and the services that you offer.
Builderleadconverter.com. builderleadconverter.com is our website. Yeah, you can find out all about us and what we do from our client acquisition system.
Awesome. One last question I always ask all my guests, Rick, and that is, what's a book that you're reading or one that you would recommend?
That's a good one. So I'm currently reading, we're finishing up The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, which is a great book. I'm a huge proponent of EOS. And so the book Traction, I think, is a great read for any business owner. And that's really the art of understanding how to operate your business, how to manage it, how to grow your business as well. So, if you're not familiar with EOS or not using EOS, a lot of our clients are. I've been on it for 6 years. In fact, we just put an integrator in place. I don't have to do that job anymore because I'm a visionary. I'm not an integrator. It's been game changing for us. But 5 Dysfunctions of Team is a great one too. But that's not going to be for the solopreneur. That's for when you've got a team of, say, 3 to 5 in your leadership, and it's really a way to help understand what are some of those roadblocks that are maybe keeping you from getting through those recurring issues that you're dealing with.
Awesome. I appreciate the recommendations. Rick, thanks again for being on our show. I really appreciate your time.
Brad, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, guys, that's the end of the show. You know where to find us. You can search for the Hammer and Grind Podcast on socials. Go to the show notes to learn more about Rick and his services and to find us. And remember, until next time, profit is not a dirty word.